It's good to be back on your screens. Hello there and welcome to the most watched business show in the country. This is the Business Weekly Show on Cedi TV. My name is Michael Obodu. The show is sponsored by Standard Chartered Bank. Standard Chartered Bank, here for good. Don't forget to hit me up on Twitter at @mobodu. But are you ready for business news that is delivered to you with a touch of fun and excitement in the next 1 hour? Are you ready? Let's go. We start the show with some news that can allow you to let your hair down a bit. Fuel prices are expected to remain stable for the first half of this month. I'm sure this is welcoming news for those who have to buy fuel on the regular. We are still adjusting to the impact of the recent increase. Anyways, the Institute of Energy Security, IES, has been providing more explanation on this.
For the first 3 months of the year, fuel prices in the country witnessed a consistent steady increase as the price per litre increased from 4 Ghana cedis 8 pesos in January to around 4 Ghana cedis 9 pesos in February and to 5 Ghana cedis 5 pesos by March. Following the consistent increases, the 2021 budget saw the introduction of a new 10 pesos sanitation and pollution levy as well as a 20 pesos levy to cater for charges on the country's excess power capacity. A combination of the levies resulted in a 5.7% increase in fuel at the pumps. The situation back then sparked outrage among the consuming public and businesses who feared that they may end the year paying an all-time high rate per litre. Following the outcry, the National Petroleum Authority reduced the margin on the price of fuel by 8 pesos per litre. Prices, although still high, have remained relatively stable. According to the latest analysis by the Institute for Energy Security, this projection of fuel prices to remain stable can be attributed to the 3.75% reduction in the price of the international benchmark Brent crude, the 0.47% decrease in price of gasoline, and the sharp depreciation of 1.36% of the local currency against the US dollar. These price dips on the international market were occasioned by the fourth wave of COVID-19 across many areas, particularly in Asia, where the world's largest crude importer, China, has had to impose restrictions that is affecting oil supply. Currently, the national average price of fuel per litre at the pump is pegged at 6 Ghana cedis 10 pesos for both gasoline and gas oil on account of the relative price stability.
Let's now talk about boards that have been set up. The latest is that of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation, GNPC. Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh has charged the board to do more with oil exploration in the interest of the country.
The charge by the Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh comes at a time when GNPC, through its subsidiary Explorco, plans to purchase a 70% stake in the South Water Deep Tunnel operated by AGM Petroleum Ghana Limited and a 37% stake in the Deep Water Tunnel Cape 3 Points operated by Aker Energy Ghana Limited. Speaking at a ceremony to inaugurate the board, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh charged the 7-member reconstituted board of the GNPC to enhance the activities of Explorco to be able to live up to its expectations.
One other area that we think Ghana can benefit is Ghanaian companies operating in our fields. And one such Ghanaian company that this government wants to support, to grow, to get well established and play a leading role is Explorco. Explorco, that is the baby of GNPC, must be seen to be playing a role, especially in this era of energy transition. We cannot afford a situation where Ghana will have all this wealth that God showed us at our 50th anniversary, or God revealed to us at our 50th anniversary, lying there unutilized, and Ghanaians are still wallowing in energy, lack of energy access, and poverty. So this particular board sits at a critical juncture, whether we can stand up as a nation responsible and be in charge of our own affairs, or we'll continue to look somewhere else to come and manage our affairs for us. I hope that you take it as a board more seriously in this local content. Local content from Ghanaians owning petroleum concessions in the country, participating in petroleum, in providing services in the petroleum industry in this country, and a whole lot of government should be the responsibility, paramount responsibility of GNPC.
The 7-member reconstituted board of the Ghana National Petroleum Corporation is chaired by the Honorable Freddie Blay. Other members of the board include Dr. K.K. Sapon, Yona and Danny Yakubu Abdullahi, Martin Kwachi, Ojia Hoho Yao Jibi II, Yao Che, and Ama Jimfua Asabia.
Another board that has been set up is the Ghana Integrated Iron Ore and Steel Development Corporation. And the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abdullahi Jinapo, has charged the board to live up to its mandate.
In 2020 alone, Ghana's importation bill of iron and steel and its articles stood at 2.9 billion Ghana cedis. Industrialization in most developed countries has thrived on the back of iron and steel industry. There was therefore the need for the country to summon all energies towards mining, processing and producing steel to spur on Ghana's industrialization drive. The board of the Ghana Integrated Iron Ore and Steel Development Corporation is chaired by Member of Parliament for Yendi, Farouk Aliu Mahama. Other members of the board are Kwabena Bonsu-Fajo, CEO, Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, George Mirekuduka, Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Michael Ochrebefi. Other government appointees on the board are Martin Kwekweisi, KK Amwa, and Hanifa Yaya. Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Samuel Abujinapo, therefore urged them to execute their mandate judiciously.
It's an extremely important corporation, and I believe that is not lost on all of us. It is important predominantly because if we are going to achieve the goals of the government and the country, one of the most fundamental pillars on which we can anchor that effort and that ambition is the exploitation, the efficient, responsible exploitation of the iron resources of our country. It is common knowledge that all the developed countries of the world did so on the back of iron and steel. You cannot industrialize. It's just as simple as that. You cannot have an industrialized nation if you don't have an iron and steel industry which is fit for purpose.
Responding to the charge from the minister, Chairman of the board, Alhaji Farouk Aliu Mahama, pledged to achieve his stated objectives, including the launch of a strategic plan for the corporation in the first 12 months as head of the board.
A large variety of background, experience and expertise presented to this board, which I personally know them in person, and I know the caliber of people I'm dealing with in terms of the legal minds they are bringing, so that we'll have easy access to make sure we legalize the operational aspects of the concessionaires Ghana's iron ore still holds, and also to make sure that we grant an efficiency to discharge the responsibility assigned to us by the Act 988. We will set strategic policy directions, collaborate with the management and staff, operate with maximum efficiency to the success of GSDEC and you, the Honorable Minister. And you're going to leave a legacy. And with this, we're going to achieve in the 3 years. And we'll give a legacy to you and the President. And it will be a legacy that is going to be the biggest and efficient iron industry with factories and melting plants in Ghana, all before 2024.
Now to some very hot filler from the Bulk Oil Storage and Transportation Company Limited, BOST. After 12 years of delay, BOST will soon take delivery of some pipelines. Here is where the gist is. It actually cost additional $8 million, which was spent on repairs because of deterioration. The equipment was worth $63 million. $8 million after 12 years of delay. Charlie, this is serious.
Processes for the procurement of the pipelines from American Tank and Vessel Incorporation, ATNV, began in 2009 after the Exim Bank in the United States guaranteed a loan of $79.4 million to cover the export sale as well as related local projects costs in Ghana. Specifically, It was expected to support the expansion of oil storage capability at the Mami Water Depot from 120,000 metric tons to 230,000 metric tons, and the construction of 270-kilometer pipelines to transport petroleum into the interior areas of Ghana. Due to some managerial issues, the pipelines, after 12 years, are yet to arrive in Ghana. A total of $63 million has been spent so far, out of which $8 million was used to repair 109 of the pipelines that got damaged over the period. The additional pipelines, which will finally arrive in the country in September, will increase the Tema-Kosovo pipeline from the current 6 inches to 12 inches, thereby improving delivery of petroleum products within the country. Managing Director of the company, Edwin Provencal, spoke to Citi Business News.
These pipelines, we started the procurement of these pipelines since 2009 with an EXIM facility. Fast forward to today, the pipelines are still stuck in the United States of America, Houston to be precise. My two predecessors started the attempts to bring the pipeline down. They started sandblasting, the repairing of the pipelines, etc. The good news is that by end of this month, the shipment of the pipeline will commence. We have procured a logistics provider. We have been with him. We visited the pipes. We've assessed the pipes, and they are good and ready to be shipped to Ghana. So Ghanaians can be happy that at long last, after spending almost $8 million extra, these pipelines are ready to be shipped to Ghana for it to be put to use. The sad part is that 109 of these pipelines are damaged because of the vagaries of the weather. And the good news is that the rest can still be used to put to good use. So we are happy that the pipelines will be back.
If you're planning on acquiring a land, I'm sure you find our next story interesting. The Lands Commission will, from October, be a one-stop shop for land searches. Presently, you have to conduct searches with about 5 different departments. Imagine the hassle. But that's about to change by next month. The details of how the system will work is in our next video.
The Lands Commission's current verification system has been described by many as cumbersome. However, with the introduction of the one-stop verification system, all the search portals, including the Public and Vested Lands Management Division Search, Land Registration Division Search, Survey and Mapping Division Search, and Land Valuation Division Search, will be merged into one. Speaking at a staff deba with the Lands Minister in Accra today, the Acting Executive Secretary of the Lands Commission, Surveyor James Datson, outlined how the system would be rolled out.
There is something that we have done immediately upon assumption of office. We are focusing on the merger of the 4 divisions of the Lands Commission, and anything that we need to do, no stone will be left unturned in the effort to bring the 4 divisions together. And so what have we done? We have immediately put in place a new search system. And what it means is that searches, and under the Deputy Executive Secretary Operations, searches in the Lands Commission will no longer be done on divisional basis. That searches will be one Lands Commission search, and that is the way we are going to do it moving forward. We are not going to do, we aim to eliminate the issue of, I did a search at the Lands Commission, I got the result A. And I did the search at the same Lands Commission 1 week later, and I got result B. We want to eliminate that. So our searches will be one search from one Lands Commission.
Land and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Chinapor stressed on the need for the Commission to incorporate better customer relations in its services to ensure efficiency at the Commission.
We are also pleading with you to give out your best, and we cannot play ostrich. We cannot pretend. There are some of us who still have to step up and have to do better than we do. And there are some of the mechanics, there are some of the things we do at Lands Commission which we have to change. And I tell people all the time that there are very little things we can do which doesn't really need financial investment or any special intervention, like smiling, like being a gentleman, like being a lady, like being nice, being professional. That one, I want to strike that contract with you here, that as much as possible, even when the problems are home and there's a lot of pressure, let's try and smile. We all have those problems. I do have them as well. So these are very little simple things which we can take it upon ourselves to be able to bring some change in the system.
This is a big one for our cocoa farmers. Cocoa Board has begun piloting the cocoa pension scheme in a cocoa growing community in the Ashanti region. The main project will begin in October, but I'm so excited that at least our cocoa farmers have a secured livelihood during pension. If you have a relative and friends who are into cocoa farming, I'll let them so they get all the info in our next video.
In December 2020, President Akufo-Addo launched a scheme after he directed the Cocoa Board to work earnestly with the National Pensions Regulatory Authority and other stakeholders to set up a cocoa farmers pension scheme upon the assumption of office. The scheme, which is to support cocoa farmers to enjoy a decent pension, is now going through its implementation stage. Members of the Ghana National Cocoa Farmers Association some weeks ago called on the government to expedite processes towards the implementation of the pension scheme as part of its promise to cocoa farmers. Processes have now begun for the smooth implementation of the scheme. Consultant of the project, Arnold Mensah-Bonsu, explained the process involved in the exercise.
The pilot, we are targeting 2,800 farmers over a period of 2 weeks. And the idea is that we let them go through the motion of a mock sale of cocoa, and then the output will be displayed. And the main output will be the gross amount. Because when you sell cocoa, supposedly you're supposed to get 1,000 cedis. That's the gross. Then because it's mandatory that every cocoa farmer contributes 5%, 5% will be deducted. Then Cocoa Board will also contribute 1%. So if you sell 1,000 cedis of cocoa, 5% of 1,000 is 50 cedis. Instead of getting the 1,000, you'll be given 950 cedis. Cocoa Board will match that contribution. Then at the end of every month, the money will be sent to the custodian bank, for this exercise. So we want to test and see if there are any issues that will come out that we need to address before the main rollout in October. I think the farmers will need a lot more education. It's not that easy when you deduct money from people. They want to be sure how you're going to use the money, what will be the benefits to them and all that, so that you can win their confidence.
As part of the exercise, personal details of cocoa farmers will be captured onto the pensions enrollment form and then proceeded with the weighing of the farmers' bagged cocoa beans at the point of sale to establish their value. The farmers will then receive an instant SMS alert on their phones to confirm upon the completion of the transaction. The agency, which will serve as the fund administrator for the scheme, is hopeful farmers across cocoa growing communities across the country will be registered by the close of 2021.
But what the strategy that we're using is we've selected, there are 14 LBCs. LBC stands for Licensed Buyers Companies. So we have selected 2 purchasing clerks from each buying company, making 28 pieces. Then amongst that, we have selected 2,800 cocoa farmers that are going to go through this mock exercise. It's an ongoing process. As I stated earlier on, we might not be able to finish all the cocoa farmers in Ghana by October 1st, but it's a process. We will do it in stages. We've done Ashanti region. Well, almost done with the Ashanti region. We'll finish with Western South, and then we'll go to Western North. Then the other regions will also follow suit. So this is the program. But all in all, we hope that by close to the year, we would have registered all the cocoa farmers in Ghana.
Some cocoa farmers also shared their views on the scheme.
Farmers, it's unlike Europe. The farmers are the poorest people in the system. Unlike Europe, the farmers are the richest. Unlike this program, if it is really effective, it will help us a lot. It will help us a lot. And these young ones coming will rush into the farming programs.
The exercise was jointly organized by Cocoa Board, the National Pension Regulatory Authority, and the trustees for the pension scheme.
Still in the agricultural sector, the government is projecting that its total earnings from exports would increase by 800% in the next 10 years. The government is confident that policies it has put in place will help in achieving this. This will mean that farmers in the country will be richer soon. Or would you also want to farm?
Agriculture, albeit not receiving as much attention as is desired, is currently contributing about $2.5 billion to Ghana's GDP through export earnings. The Agri Ministry is predicting an 8-fold increase in that amount in the next 10 years. This growth, according to the Minister of Agriculture, Dr. Osei Akoto, is being driven by improved agronomic practices.
You need to focus on specific areas, like we are saying about grains, where we give improved seeds because we have very low improved seed content. We give fertilizer because it's virtually non-existent. And just by the application of these two, you can increase your yield 5-10 times sometimes. I mean, I've seen areas in Sisala where previously every acre, on average, the farmer was harvesting four bags of 50 kilograms. And now you go there, you see 20, 30, even 40 bags per acre. And that is the kind of transformation that we are talking about. And of course, in the Middle Belt, we also grow maize and the others. And this engineers the production, encourages the production of the others. So that is the what we call the food crop model.
Dr. Osei Akoto was speaking at the Information Ministry's press briefing, where he also disclosed that a renewed focus on tree crops is expected to boost Ghana's agri earnings.
For the arrival of cocoa in this country about 130 years ago, we're doing oil palm, rubber, and others, trading with the Europeans. Cocoa came over and took over very quickly and has dominated the agricultural economy of this country for all these years. The Akufo-Addo government is determined that this monopoly should be broken. And they put into the ground seeds to ensure that in the next 8-10 years, this country is going to earn as much as we are earning from cocoa today, which is about $2.5 billion US dollars a year. That each of the 6 selected crops, and I'll talk more about that, will also, each one of them will earn as much. And it's not rocket science. You go to Cote d'Ivoire, that's what is happening. 5 crops give them $15 billion. And Ghana has even better conditions than Cote d'Ivoire. So if they can do it, we can do it. And we've now, as a very strategic position, we've now engineered the process with the creation of the authority, Tree Crop Development Authority, in place to ensure that this happens to the 6 crops of coconut, rubber, palm oil, coffee, shea nut, and cashew.
The government in 2019 introduced a 50% reduction in benchmark values to discourage smuggling and increase revenue at the ports. This was welcoming news for the trading community as it reduced the cost of doing business for them. But not everybody is happy about this. Local producers think it's rather making them uncompetitive. One of such groups is the Rice Millers Association. The government introduced the policy in 2019 to discourage smuggling and increase revenue at the ports. But following rumors of a likely reversal of the relief, the Ghana Union of Traders Associations (GUTA) has mounted a spirited defense of the policy, arguing that it presently is the only lifeline for traders in the pandemic.
It's about the best policy of government that have helped to mitigate the plight of the business community as well as the consuming public. You see that the world commodity prices have gone up astronomically, as well as freight charges, which used to be 3,000 have gone to about 15,000. And that alone is too much. That is nearly breaking the back of businesses.
On the other hand, artisanal palm oil millers and outgrowers say the policy is deepening their woes during the COVID-19 pandemic. They lament that the policy is rendering locally produced crude palm oil uncompetitive on the market, causing many palm oil producers to lose their jobs in these hard times. Yao Edupoku is the convener of Rice Millers Association of Ghana, and he stressed that the strategy did not make local rice producers competitive and was counterproductive for the nation.
Right from the beginning, we were not for it. We were against it, and we tried to make our voice heard through the AGI that it will not help. If we are talking about nation building, then that is not the way to go. And true to form, it benefited only a few. Those who could make it got it, but go back to the market and find out for the last 2 years, did they change the prices on the market? Never. It never did. So what did we gain as a nation? Nothing. The money went into the pocket of the private person. Those who were able to take advantage of it are those who benefited, and the consumer on the street never did. And in creating that, we curb the onslaught of industrialization, especially in the agri sector, where you have a chunk of the population toiling day and night. It brought it to a screeching halt. That is what I would say. Because we could not and cannot compete with the advanced countries. You go to the US, rice is subsidized for export, soy is subsidized for export, even grain is subsidized for it, and oil.
We turn our attention now to the banking sector. Did you know that with as little as 10 Ghana cedis, you can open a current account with some banks in the country? There are others too who charge up to 100 Ghana cedis. I'm sure you want to know which banks these are. Check them out.
Analysis conducted by Citi Business News on banks' charges for the second quarter of 2020 showed that banks demanded an average of 49 Ghana cedis as the initial amount to be deposited when opening current accounts for individuals. But the Financial Stability Department of the Bank of Ghana's latest survey of bank charges from 23 universal banks for the first quarter of 2021 show that these institutions on the average will now require 46 Ghana cedis as initial deposit for opening a current account for individuals. The decrease in the average initial deposit required represents a minimal 6% drop over the period. Per the Central Bank survey, Standard Chartered Bank, Stanbic Bank and the Agricultural Development Bank require the highest amount of deposit, which is 100 Ghana cedis to start a current account. On the other hand, Ecobank and Cowbank require only 10 Ghana cedis to open a current account, the lowest amount needed out of the 23 banks surveyed. While the majority of banks kept their requirements unchanged, Ecobank and Zenith Bank slashed their requirements in an effort to mobilize more deposits. Ecobank, which pegged 50 Ghana cedis as its minimum requirement as at June 2020, currently requires as low as 10 Ghana cedis, while Zenith Bank slashed its requirement amount by 50%, pegging it at 50 Ghana cedis now. However, the National Investment Bank has increased its initial deposit required for a current account since the 2019 survey. Currently, customers need 20 Ghana cedis in addition to the previous 30 Ghana cedis to make 50 Ghana cedis in order to start a current account.
Still on banks, while some give out loans at a rate of 16%, others do almost 25%. Isn't this worrying, especially when we know the Bank of Ghana lends to them at 13.5%? The Bank of Ghana has been providing details on these in its recent reports on the sector.
For the past few years, businesses and individuals have been complaining about the high cost of credit from financial institutions in Ghana and its impact on the ability of businesses to thrive and compete with their peers on the continent, especially in an era of the African Continental Free Trade Area. In the past year, the country's monetary policy rate, which informs the rate at which financial institutions lend to consumers and businesses, dropped from 14.5% in July 2020 to 13.5% in July 2021. Average lending rates have also dropped during that period from 20.29% to 20.47%. Even though the average across universal banks has dropped, some banks have significantly lower average lending rates than others. CalBank PLC and GT Bank had the first and second lowest average lending rate according to the Bank of Ghana as at July 2021 at 15.97% and 16.97% respectively. Bank of Africa, Access Bank and Omnibisic round up the 5 banks with the lowest average lending rate with 17.19%, 17.77% and 17.95% respectively. Out of the 23 universal banks, FBN Bank had the 5th highest average lending rate according to the Bank of Ghana as at July 2021 with a rate of 22.25%. GCB Bank at the end of the same period had the 4th highest average lending rate with 22.80%, followed by Absa Bank with the 3rd highest rate of 23.59%. Societe Generale Ghana, meanwhile, had the 2nd highest average lending rate with 23.61%. The Agricultural Development Bank rounded up the list with the highest average lending rate at the end of July 2021 with a rate of 24.89% according to the Bank of Ghana. Cost of credit in Ghana using the policy rate as an indirect benchmark according to international advisory firm Confidence is more than double the average cost for frontier intra-African exporters, impacting on Ghana's competitiveness against its leading peers. According to the central bank, the publication of the average lending rates list of universal banks is to help promote transparency in the pricing of loans granted by universal banks.
Citi TV is live. On DSTV, go to channel 363. On GoTV, access Citi TV on channel 182. On a digital TV, please press the menu button on the remote control and run a new search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access Citi TV on your television. Citi TV can be accessed on a free-to-air digital box like the GoTV and StarTimes box. Citi TV, it's your world.
The cedi appears to be faring quite well against the dollar this year, but it looks like towards December, you might need a few more cedis to get a dollar. I'm sure you want to know what exactly to expect. Economist with Data Bank Courage Mate has more for you.
Data from the Bank of Ghana shows that the Ghana cedi began the year 2021 trading at 5 cedis 76 pesos to a dollar. By the middle of the year, which is June ending, it was still trading at 5 cedis 76 pesos to a dollar, showing no depreciation for the first 6 months. The following 2 months, July and August, however, were a different story, as the local currency lost almost 2% of its value as factors like the rising level of imports, among others, put pressure on the local currency. But with 4 months to the end of the year, what should we expect from the local currency? Courage Mate is an economist with Databank, and he shares his expectations.
Looking at the amount of pressure on the currency already, and looking at the size of the external obligation we still have to do until the end of the year, we see scope for some more depreciation, albeit modest depreciation before the end of the year. So from where we are, it won't be out of place to see the cedi recording some more depreciation. And I mean, first of all, if you look at the fact that by the end of this year, we still expect to record a current account deficit in the region of 3%. And we still are looking at an inflation rate, although in single digit by the end of this year, somewhere above 8%. So if you look at a current account deficit of around 3% and inflation of above 8%, you see that there is scope for depreciation of the cedi beyond where we are today, which by the Bank of Ghana's reference rate is giving us a year-to-date depreciation of about 1.26%. So between now and the end of the year, the fundamentals suggest that there is still some room for some modest depreciation until the end of the year.
Big man, please give me good day 3. Abi, you accept mobile money?
Yes, please.
Sort me out. It's an open secret that COVID-19 has hastened our progress towards a cashless society as many more people are adopting electronic means of payment. International financial services company Visa is also helping drive the agenda with the rollout of its contactless payment. Just a tap, pa, and you are done. Just give me your number and let me send it to you.
The COVID-19 lockdowns across most of the world did indeed push many people to adopt digital behaviors, accelerating the proliferation of mobile-first digital economies and rendering cash even less relevant to daily life than it already was. In its attempt to build on the gains made and further enhance the digital payment ecosystem, Visa has since April 2021 rolled out its contactless payment technology. Contactless is a quick, easy and secure way to pay, which is faster and more convenient than using the traditional payment methods. With a contactless debit or credit card, a customer is only required to tap to pay on the POS device to execute transactions not exceeding 100 Ghana cedis with no requirement to enter a PIN, swipe their card or sign a receipt. So what inspired the national rollout of the technology that Visa calls Tap to Pay? Adoma Pepra is the country manager of Visa in Ghana, and she has been speaking to Cedi Business News.
There was a strong shift towards e-commerce early on within the pandemic. But you know, especially here in Ghana, our lockdown was not for very long. And so a lot of people, you know, the economy opened up, shops opened up, people had to go back into the shops. And so for them, they wanted to be able to find an easy, convenient, safe way of making payments. And so even though contactless had been rolling out for a while, a lot of the banks started issuing it, we felt that it was an opportune time to do mass rollout of contactless and ensure that most of our partners were rolling that out.
So how does Visa's Tap to Pay work?
And really what contactless payments is, or what the contactless transaction is you taking your card and being able to tap at any POS enabled device that's contactless enabled and being able to make low value transactions without having to put in a PIN or sign or requiring a receipt. I mean, that's in effect what it is. It's really as simple as that. You know, so somebody that you go into a shop, the cashier rings out the bill, you check to see that it's fine, you tap your card, and that's as simple as that.
Collaborating with local players in the markets Visa enters is key for the company as it rolls out services like its contactless payment technology. In Ghana, one of such players is Express Pay, an e-commerce marketplace and a payment gateway provider. Curtis Vanderpoy is the company's CEO, and he shares how they are facilitating the digital payment agenda.
That's been there for a while. It's still growing strong, where through our app, a few taps, and you're able to send money to any mobile money network or any bank account instantly, in addition to paying for various bills, whether it's airtime, whether it's your internet, your TV, DSTV, and so on. All of those are there. But beyond that, we've also gone into what I'll call the face-to-face space, right? Face-to-face acceptance, where we're enabling customers to be able to pay through contactless solutions, through our smart POSs, or QR solutions, where again there's no contact at all, or USSD, where again there's no contact and the merchant can receive the payment.
Mr. Vanderpoy sheds more light on how they are collaborating with Visa to facilitate digital payments.
When it comes to transacting on our platform, for instance, we continue to work with Visa. In some cases, we sort of do co-marketing to try and drive home the message I just mentioned, right? To let people know that they can use their cards to access all of these services. Traditionally, people have Visa cards, but they typically will go to an ATM and take cash and transact. Now, what's the point in doing that if you have platforms where you can just use your Visa card instantly? And so we've been working with Visa consistently to try and get people to understand these use cases so they can simply take their cards, use it on the platforms from the comfort of their homes or offices, wherever they are. Yes, and contactless as well. So I was largely talking about the sort of remote payment space.
So how beneficial really are technologies such as contactless payment to ordinary consumers and merchants? Let's hear from Adoma Pepra, the country manager of Visa in Ghana again.
Definitely. I think there's huge benefits for both consumers and merchants. Consumers, as I mentioned, it's safe. You know, you don't have to touch any surfaces, and so you basically tap and you don't have to touch anything. So you know how it is with inputting the pin pads are dirty. So it's just safe. And then for merchants, especially for those that have a lot of cash within them, it's so much safer and it's so much more convenient for them for a number of reasons. Number one, the throughput is quicker because it's such a faster way of trying to pay. You can get through your queues very, very quickly. And also for people that normally have a lot of cash, which is not great and it's not safe, this is an easy way of trying to do so. And also we found that people that pay by card also buy more. And so there's a lot of value, there's more transaction throughput that goes through.
Let's talk about the Development Bank Ghana. The government is making efforts to set up the bank to help provide cheap, long-term capital for various sectors like agriculture, manufacturing, etc. This isn't the first ever development bank in the country, but unfortunately, most of them didn't live up to expectation. Just like every well-meaning Ghanaian, some academics have been sharing some ideas that they believe would help ensure the DBG is a success.
The Ministry of Finance signed an agreement with the European Investment Bank for 170 million euros for the establishment of a development bank in Ghana. The bank is expected to be an independent wholesale financial institution with a narrow focus on developmental investments, working through traditional commercial banks. Speaking at a development dialogue organized by the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research (ISE) on National Development Bank and Sustainable Financing in Ghana, Professor Aite said the new development bank ought to be set up differently.
I heard you talk about the pension funds in the country. How are we going to use them? What kind of arrangement will we put in place to provide credibility, to provide confidence in dealing with the risks associated with long-term financing? I do hope that going forward, all of our debates about whether we need a National Development Bank or not will focus more and more on what will make it work. There's never been any doubt in my mind that we need long-term financing. There's never been any doubt in my mind that development banks are relevant in a country like Ghana. But I also know that once you allow them to be captured by politicians or by any other interest group, they will not work. So you can make them work by using all the known ideas from today's corporate governance. You can make them work by having in place the proper capital structure. You can make them work by making sure that those who govern the institution are independent. If Parliament wants to control the bank, it will fail. If civil servants want to control the bank, it will fail. If individual businessmen in Ghana want to control the bank, it will fail. So you need to craft a governance system that takes into account all these interests and yet remains independent.
Meanwhile, a senior lecturer at the Department of Finance of the University of Ghana, Dr. Vera Fiado, says even though the Development Bank Ghana is being established with a social mandate of providing patient capital for specific sectors of the economy, investment drawings from the bank must also be financially sustainable. Speaking to the media on the sidelines of a development dialogue organized by the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research (ISE), Dr. Vera Fiado said the social motive of the bank should not override its commercial decisions.
The Development Bank is meant to address a missing link in the financial market. So like I mentioned earlier, there's the government funding, which is more of it's not meant to generate profit. And then there's the funding from typical commercial banks, which have the interest of making what profit. Now, what it means is that there's always this missing gap. And of course, the regulation for commercial banks also biases them typically towards short-term funding, the prudential aspects of the banking regulation. So now for the development banks, we are looking to provide longer-term capital because that's actually the funding base that provides for development. Patient capital that allows you to grow and then pay back. So in trying to make that work, then of course we need to ensure that all the other parameters are in place. And that has to do with the governance bits being solid to allow that the organization is, the entity is managed, or should I say governed in a direction that helps to achieve the mandate, which is actually to grow development by focusing on areas like agribusiness, software development, ICT, and the allied areas. Now, one of the key things also is about the issue of financial sustainability, that we have to make sure that it's financially sustainable. More often than not, a number of institutions with government backing would not be here if not for the fact that they have the government coffers behind them. But we want this one to be different. And to make that different means that we should have an orientation towards making sure that the decisions that are taken are financially sustainable.
We hope that Development Bank Ghana accomplishes the purpose for its establishment. Now, away from that, if you don't want the Ghana Revenue Authority GRA to bounce any expenditure on your books, please ensure it includes a value-added tax invoice. GRA says it's part of efforts to seal all the revenue leakages in the country.
The value-added tax VAT invoice is a document issued by any accountable person to set out the details of a taxable financial activity as prescribed by the VAT law. The 2018 mid-year budget amended the VAT rate from 15% to 12.5% and delinked the National Health Insurance Levy and the Ghana Education Trust Fund from VAT by removing their input tax deductibility. A person who issues a false tax invoice or sales receipt, uses a false taxpayer identification number, or fails to issue a tax invoice or sales receipt is, in addition to a fine, liable to a term of imprisonment and a penalty of not more than 500 Ghana cedis or 3 times the amount of tax involved. Over the years, the Ghana Revenue Authority has had to tussle with and eventually prosecute several business entities over their failure to issue tax invoices to clients. While speaking at the launch of the RACE initiative, the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Reverend Amishadai Osuamua, said his outfit would begin to strictly reject companies that present expenses to the authority without accompanying VAT invoices from October this year.
We are focusing on data warehousing, we are focusing on data matching, we are focusing on artificial intelligence to be able to make sure that there is compliance. Defaulters who in the past are able to dodge, in the future we are sure that we will be able to find them. And therefore enforcement actions are very important for us to ensure that we comply. In fact, from 1st October, we have come out with an initiative that says that if you present any expenditure when you are being audited and you don't have a VAT invoice to support that particular expenditure, that's expenditure that, as far as GNPC is concerned, does not exist. So it means that for everyone that does the expenditure in line with the VAT regulation must ensure that whatever he reports in his books comply with the VAT regulation. If it doesn't comply, GNPC doesn't see that expenditure as existing. And that will come into effect from 1st October. And to ensure that we all look for the VAT invoice and will not condone when people ask you, do you want VAT invoice or you want an ordinary invoice?
To our final story of the week, Ghana is such a blessed country. Amid this pandemic that has ravaged most economies in the country, we are still receiving foreign direct investment. For the first half of this year, over $800 million have arrived in the country. This is just amazing.
Latest data from the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GNPC, indicates that the country recorded $874 million in investments in the first half of this year from 122 projects. Of the total investments, the foreign direct investment component amounted to $829.29 million, while the local component accounted for $44.72 million. This is an increase of 32.15% over the FDI value of $627.52 million recorded in the first half of 2020. The data also notes that the strong FDI performance in the first half of the year was driven by success in key sectors including the services and manufacturing sectors. Out of the 122 projects registered, the services sector recorded the highest with 63 projects. It was followed by manufacturing with 24 projects. General trading and building and construction followed with 18 and 6 projects respectively. The oil and gas sector as well as export trade sectors recorded 5 projects each. The agricultural sector also recorded a project. In terms of FDI values, the services sector recorded the highest value of $597.63 million. This was followed by the manufacturing sector with FDI value of $98.74 million. General trading as well as building and construction sectors recorded FDI values of $41.87 million and $22.63 million respectively. With respect to the distribution of projects, 9 regions gained from the dispersion of the 122 projects. The Greater Accra region surpassed all other regions with 96 projects accounting for 78.69% of all projects filed in the first half of 2021. The other regions to have recorded projects are the Ashanti and Western regions with 8 and 9 projects respectively. Bono, Central and Eastern regions had 2 projects each, whilst Ahafo, Northern and Upper West regions recorded a project each. Overall, the data shows that Ghana's upbeat half-year FDI performance has varied marginally from the globally anticipated slowdown in FDI flow. Perhaps unsurprisingly, the steady performance can be attributed to the activation of the Ghana COVID-19 Alleviation and Revitalization of Enterprises program, as well as the timely rollout of several government incentives, which prompted a quick recovery of the Ghanaian economy.
Well, all too soon our time is up, but thank you so much for tuning in to the most watched business show in the country. It is the Business Weekly Show on Cedi TV. My name is Michael Obodu, and please follow me on Twitter at @mobodu. Catch you same time next week, but please don't miss out on the Business Dashboard, which airs on Cedi TV at 10 p.m. sharp every weekday with a repeat the following day. And yes, our website, citybusinessnews.com, is there for you for regular business news updates. Catch you same time next week. Stay safe, stay informed, and bye-bye.